Shri Bhagavanuvacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanam Avyayam Vivasvan Manve Praha Manorikshvaka Abravit. So today we shall be starting chapter 4, the chapter entitled Transcendental Knowledge. So Krishna is giving us some knowledge from his own side, which is divine, which is not of this world. And by understanding this world, all our doubts will be removed, and we'll have a different, very pure attitude towards the world and its people. First of all, Krishna informs us about that how this knowledge was given. Krishna says, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So Krishna gave this knowledge to sun god Vivasvan, Vivasvan to Manu, the father of mankind, Manu and Shatrupa, and then Manu gave this knowledge to Ikshvaku in the dynasty of Lord Ram. So this is such a important message that in the beginning of creation, Lord gave this knowledge to the sun god, because it is the sun who is ruling everything, and because of that, uh, people will lead a pure and purposeful life. A king must be informed about all the knowledge of the society, especially the spiritual knowledge. Of course, how to run the government, how to respect each each person in the city, in the country. So king is a very important position, and that man has to be very well informed. But in the democratic system, it is quite possible, and many times it is observed that illiterate and uninformed people also become the head of the state. These are some defects of the system, but a system can run only well if a king is properly educated, spiritually elevated, and who lead people according to the advice of scriptures and senior experienced people. Only then one can hope for a peaceful society. So that is why this knowledge was given. So earlier, when this knowledge was practiced, most of the kings at that time in India, actually the whole world was India, was ruled by many great personalities who were very much knowledgeable about these Vedic science and Vedic scriptures and spiritual science, and they lead a perfect example. Take, for instance, the life of King Bharat, on whose name this country is called as Bharatvarsh. So, King Bharat at one time left everything, his kingdom, his wife, his children, and he went to the forest to perform penances to achieve the Lord. Somehow or other, he fell in affection, he got attached to a deer, and when he died, he took his second birth as a deer. With the blessings of Lord, he could remember his previous birth, and he was lamenting greatly that what great mistake he committed. And when the deer died, he was again born in the house of a Vedic Brahmana, the priest section of the society. And he also remembered his both the lives. So King Bharat was called as Jad Bharat in this life, and he was very careful from the beginning. Many times he acted as a dumb person, that he didn't learn anything, because he was already a self-realized person, and he was very elevated. So one time, uh, accidentally he met a king, King Rahuguna, and he spoke this great knowledge to him. So at that time, the kings were very well informed about the spiritual sciences. And Krishna also called this knowledge as the kingly knowledge. Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. That when a person receives this knowledge, he becomes like a king. He is at the top position of knowledge. And what is that knowledge? The knowledge is that we are not body, we are soul. So this is the great knowledge. This soul never dies. This is another great revelation. The soul is part of Krishna, is part of God. The soul has relationship with God. Soul is a servant of God. Jive Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. So, and we have a loving relationship with Lord. Each being is part of God. So these are some transcendental knowledge. So when a person have this knowledge, he acts perfectly in whatever circumstances one receives, and that way one can serve the society in a proper mood, and one can achieve the Lord while living, and while after death he will see Lord face to face. So many great kings uh, accepted this science, especially one of the Amrish Maharaj. He was the king of the whole universe. So King Amrish was so much attached with the Lord that he didn't allow anyone to do any service in his temple. Maharaj was the sweeper also. He was cleaning the temple, brewing the temple. He was cooking for the Lord. He was decorating the Lord. He was doing arti to the Lord. He was acting as a pujari. He was acting as a musician. And every service, even cooking, he was performing. Everything he was doing for the Lord. And then after that, he used to go to um, his parliament for discussing the matters, and his his kingdom was very much peaceful at that time, and there are very glorious stories about King Amrish. You can read it in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a kingly knowledge, and this is knowledge for great people, and this knowledge is coming from the beginning of the time, because without this knowledge, life has no purpose. Without this knowledge, life is as good as the life of an animal who are only concerned with eating, sleeping, and sex. So then the only focus is only these three, four things. Ahar, Nidra, Bhai Maithunam cha samana etat pashubhir nararam. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmahine pashubhir samana. Ki eating, sleeping, mating, and protection is common phenomena in both animal and human being, but realizing the Lord, loving Lord and serving Lord is the only prerogative which only human being has. So unless we utilize this special intelligence given to us, what is the use of this such a complicated human body? So please take note to this important point and start practicing spirituality in your life by understanding the knowledge which is given in Bhagavad Gita. This is transcendental knowledge. By chanting the name of Krishna every day, by working in a detached way, all your work should be done as your duty, and that way you'll reach perfection. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna.